Morning everybody, welcome to Poli. Today we're going to do the valve adjustment on the cylinders and hopefully have enough time to put the carburetors back on and start this baby back up. As you see, the carburetors are already off the bike, as I took them off last time to do the ultrasonic cleaning. So today what we're going to do is take off these covers, change out the gaskets on them, on both cylinders. From the little bit of research I've done, in order to take these ones off, just got to take off this plastic cover, that shield that's right here, unscrew the bolts and then shimmy things out. As for this one, the radiator actually needs to be removed in order to take them off. And then we'll rotate the engine to top dead center for each of the cylinders using whatever's behind this cover. So we're going to take this off, and then there's supposed to be markings just behind it on how to where to rotate the engine to for each of the cylinders, and from there should be pretty straightforward. I have some feeler gauges that we're going to use, and yeah, hopefully it shouldn't be too complicated. So let's get this cylinder first. Okay, after taking off the 4 bolts, there's these little ledges here to use to pry the thing open, and then the bottom side as well, which kind of resealed itself as it clopped back down. Oh no, it's actually off. So, and then we're going to be adjusting these little screws guys right back here. So let me remove the spark plugs and get this out of the way, and we can begin with the rear cylinder. Okay, well, cover is off, the spark plugs are out, and essentially we're adjusting these little guys here. The camshafts themselves look in good condition. I mean, nothing too worrying. That one looks fine as well. This one's got some bubbles at the top, but generally speaking I think they're fine. So now I just gotta rotate the engine over and start to line things up. So first, you gotta remove this cover here. These look like, what are they, like 8mm? Maybe? Take them off. I know that there's gonna be a little bit of leakage from taking this off, but shouldn't be too bad. Okay, primary cover is off. Quite a bit of oil leaked out and still is leaking, so either way, the bike was due for an oil change, so whatever. Now what we're going to be lining up is, see how it says T1-3 here? So that needs to be lined up with this white marking here. So this line right here. Now it needs to line up with that such that the rear cylinder is at its topmost position. Now as we turn it, you can see everything is turning, right? So we need to get that right there, so it's almost there. Now the other thing that I need to make sure is that in that position, either this cylinder or the other cylinder will be in topmost position. So one trick that I saw was to feel for compression by just literally covering the hole with your finger, and then as you feel air coming through, that's when it's compressing on that cylinder, and then just line it up that way. So I'm going to line it up, and then we're going to start looking at the intake and exhaust valves and adjusting those. Okay, so I've loosened up the lock screws and the tops, and then I took my 0.012 inches or 0.305mm as the manual says, and I've bent it because it says to use 2 feeler gauges instead of just one and then the other. So I'm taking this thing, I bent it in half so that I have 2 essentially, and then I'm going to do is I'm going to slide it right under. Yep. So I'm going to slide that right under both of them. There we go. So that way we can feel it and adjust it. So to adjust, we're going to screw the top of the screws in until it gets pretty tight. Let's say that. The other one's a bit more tough. So when you're tightening them, you can kind of feel it, like it's loose and then it gets tight. So you still want a little bit less tightness there. And let's see, lock that a little bit in place. Yeah, there we go. So right now, so just to double check, yeah, that's pretty tight. This one actually seems kind of loose. That's because it turned a little bit. No, too much. Like that. So the tricky bit is tightening these while keeping that proper position. So right now, that's a bit too tight maybe. And if we check both, that's too tight. Okay, so too tight is not good. Yeah, that's too tight. So loosen it up again. Yeah, I think that's probably the ideal spot. Like it's a difference of millimeters in the like fractions of a turn. Yeah. That's a bit too loose. There we go. Now this is good enough. I have to double check them again. Yep. I think we're Pretty good spot. Yep, I think we're good. So this side is done. So now, what we gotta do is rotate this again over to the right marking. I believe it says 270 degrees to, there's another marking in here that says, I think to the same one, maybe. Anyway, I'll check the manual and rotate it over, and we're gonna do the adjustment on the other side. So I realized I was using the wrong feeler gauge, so the one on the left, which is 0.012 inches, and I was supposed to be using the 0.005 inches. So the mix-up here was that I was reading the inch measurement, and I was looking for a millimeter measurement, and even that was kind of wrong. So either way, I readjusted things with the smaller feeler gauge, and you can kind of see how much smaller it is. Now things are proper. So now I'm going to adjust the technically, the proper procedure should be to adjust cylinder 2, which is the front left. But since I have the back open, I'm just gonna adjust cylinder 3, and then close up the back, and then deal with the front. So let's do that. Okay, rear 2 cylinders are all adjusted. Time to switch out to new gaskets and reassemble the back, and then move on to the front. Okay, so through magic of YouTube, adjusted, spark plugs are back in. I'm gonna go grab the carburetors, pop those back on, and hopefully we can get it started. So let's skip through to that. Okay, everything's assembled back up. I did have to play around with it a little bit just to get it to fill up the carbs with fuel, and let's give it a run. Let's give it full choke just to make sure it has more fuel. Switch. Take off the choke. And it runs. I mean, it did, when I did start it, it did start on just 2 cylinders again. So I don't know what that is. I mean, it could be that it's something with the spark plugs. Oh, not really. It might be the ignition coils. But either way, they do join in. So once the engine warms up, they do start to work as well. So I don't know. Either way, it works. Alright guys, so we adjusted the valves. We put the carbs back on. Bike runs. Sounds like it runs a little bit better. It is a bit concerning that it still starts only on 2 cylinders until it warms up and then it runs on all 4, but what can you do? It'll be a problem to look into at a further date. So that was it for today. Make sure to subscribe, click the little bell for notifications when new videos become available, and stay tuned for more updates. Next, I think we're going to do the front brake, and yeah, so thanks for watching.